Alright, hello everyone and welcome to WWE Discussion. I'm your host and WWE enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing NXT December 19th, 2023 edition. And this edition of NXT featured Dragon Lee making a North American title defense and, well, an interesting injury angle to close out the show involving the NXT champion Ilya Dragunov. And with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with Tiffany, Stratton versus Valen and Henley, and these two have chemistry to spare, and it's a shame that their match was short on time. A quick finish though does allow for a bigger match down the line without wasting any big spots, especially given the post-match attack. NXT, we always need a big spot. Especially after the attack post-match, NXT has set up a big stipulation grudge match in the coming weeks between these two. I think New Year's Evil, there's a rematch between those two where if Stratton wins and Henley becomes her servant. And you know, Henley winning this match was a nice surprise, but she needs a decisive win to truly rise up the ranks. And you know, there's an argument to be made she should be the one that wins in New Year's Evil, while Tiffany Stratton then moves on to the main roster, starting with the Women's Royal Rumble match. JC Jane and Thea Hale versus Kiana James and Izzy Dame, and Dame looked better here than she did in the women's breakout tournament. I think it helped working with a couple of more experienced competitors, as Jane and Hale pushed her to compete while also highlighting her height and strength. James has shown a strong affinity for tag team wrestling and has already established some basic chemistry with Dame. Hopefully this is only the beginning of their partnership. I'm thinking this is going to be something NXT commits to for a bit. While the businesswoman has built some momentum of her own, Dame could be the key star to elevate her as a potential powerhouse. Heavy might be a bit of a stretch, but again, could make it work. She just needs to prove she belongs. While Hale and Jane were the losing team here, they have found their chemistry all the more in recent months and should remain together as a rare, reliable women's tag team. So yeah, you know, tough loss for Jane, but you got a couple of tag teams here in the NXT Women's Division, and perhaps maybe with Chance and Carter now becoming Women's Tag Team Champions, maybe you can shift some focus to build up some tag teams in NXT, and James and Dame is a good start. Jane and Hale is another good one right there. I don't know if there's any others off the top of my head, I can't think of any. North American Championship match, Dragon Lee defending in a triple threat match against Dempsey and Coffey, and this was by far the best match of the night. Dragon Lee has not missed in the ring as of late, and the more time he gets in NXT, the more he elevates his standing. He worked well with Coffey and Dempsey here. At some point, NXT should consider doing a one-on-one match between Lee and Coffey because those two have chemistry. Wild and Del Toro's arrival in NXT could indicate that Dragon will be joining the LWO, and also indicate that Wild and Del Toro will be returning to NXT to spend some time there, which is a great idea because those two have been underutilized on the main roster, and giving them a chance to show out in NXT again, it's just great for everybody because they are, you know, in Legado they were such fun to watch in Legado, and unfortunately they've kind of become like background players with LWO, so it's nice to see them kind of get a chance to go to NXT and get a bit more spotlight. Main event, Ilya Dragunov versus Holland non-title match, and these two were rolling before the premature finish, which was clearly a staged injury angle based on the build-up and the fact that they had the camera like right there. It's good to know that the Mad Dragon is not actually hurt, but it is questionable to play on Holland's history in this way. It makes him look bad and draws even more unnecessary heat on him than he already has, and if you're trying to turn him into a bad guy character, well, I don't think you need to, because I think some people always view him as that. This just looks and feels ill-timed when there is a match between Dragunov and Troy Williams that everyone is looking forward to, and it's hard to believe that NXT is going to go through with it at New Year's Evil after this injury angle. So I guess we'll have to see wait and see how the whole story plays out, and until then, it's hard to say anything of this angle other than might not have been the greatest idea. But maybe it works, and maybe they find a way to pay it off that elevates Holland, reinforcing that he's actually not an unsafe worker. So in conclusion, This was a down week for NXT, particularly because of a lack of big moments. Dragon Lee's title defense was the only outstanding performance at night. Multiple matches were rushed, leading to an overloaded card. Stratton versus Henley deserved more time and attention. James and Dame versus Jane and Holland could have been more involved. The main event was a solid match that became a messy angle, further complicated an NXT Championship scene that might actually lose heat from this angle. The men's breakout tournament presented some interesting prospects in lackluster fashion. Overall, while there was nothing terrible about this show, there was too little that stood out on a night that had some potential. It was a case of a night that was less than the sum of its parts. In other words, you had quantity, but you didn't have quality. And with that, that will conclude this episode of WWE Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode of WWE Discussion, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.